What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolfbrother Mythos, and this is Wolfbrother Hobbies. And welcome to tonight's video, or show, or whatever. What's howling? Good to see you, fam. I hope you're all doing well. Charles, good to see you. It was so great to see you pull out your old Yu-Gi-Oh deck last time that we chatted. I'm looking forward to seeing a few more of those coming up. I meant to start recording some Yu-Gi-Oh stuff this week myself, but I've been rather under the weather all week. In fact, for like 3 days this week, I didn't even have a voice, and then just there's several days just like lying around in bed, just did a lot of sleeping and rested. It was a rough week, and yeah, so I hit the doctors yesterday. They told me I didn't have anything contagious. They gave me some steroids because the reason my throat was so sore, why I had no voice, is because my lymph nodes in my throat were super swollen. And so they gave me a shot of steroids. And yeah, it was likely from being on the airplanes. They said my tonsils were working overtime trying to keep an infection out of my system, which I didn't get a fever or anything. So thankfully they did their job. No infection for me. But yeah, so gave me some steroids. And just within hours, the swelling in my throat went down, pain receded. It was great. It was great. I could start talking again by the end of the night. And I actually woke up this morning with a voice, so, I actually thought I was going to have to cancel tonight because, like I said, I had several days with no voice. But it's good. I'm glad that it worked out. And that I'm able to chat with you guys tonight. Good evening, Oversoul Gaming, my brother from another mother. At work but lurking. Oh man, you know what I never did? I didn't share around your podcast, which I need to do absolutely tonight. I should have shared it around. But you did tag me in it, so hopefully someone saw it. But those of you who haven't seen it, check out Oversoul Gaming. He has a podcast on his channel, and last week I got to be one of the guests of honor. Or I got to be the guest of honor as we talked about digital versus physical media. And yeah. That's a different golf cap. Do you wear normal ball caps? I do wear normal ball caps. I don't know, I've just lately been into the golf cap or newspaper boy caps lately. I do have this awesome, strange, dark, and mysterious Mr. Ballin ball cap here that my daughter got for us when we went to see Mr. Ballin live. It's kind of a memento for us all to remember. That was pretty cool. She lets me keep it over here at my desk. It's something that we all did. Yes, the episode did turn out really well, and it was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you letting me be part of it. So, anyone who's interested, please go over to Oversoul Gaming and check out that podcast. It was a really, really fun podcast to do with the guys. Also, you can go check him out there. He's in the chat right now. Or if you're, say, not watching live, you want to check him out. Oversoul is one of the first members located. If you go down to the link below, the link tree that I have, the Friends of the Wolfbrother, you'll be able to find links to a lot of these amazing people that I just love chatting with and hanging out with and watching their content. Oversoul Gaming will be one of the first ones over there. And his podcast is called The Overcast. Which, even though it's overcast, he's bringing you sunshine on a cloudy day. So this one probably won't be a super long one tonight. I know I say that a lot, and then I end up running my mouth for forever. But I am still on the mend. Just with everything going on this week, getting over the sickness, I've had a bunch of congestion this week. I've been finding myself getting tired a lot more easily lately, and I've still got some straightening up to do around here tonight, because tomorrow's a big day. Layered title with double meaning. Very nice. Would Overcast be possessed if Hellworks was there? Why, quite possibly, good sir. Quite possibly. Perhaps you should visit his channel and find out. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. I've got some nice competitive games of Yu-Gi-Oh! With the boys. Gonna go see Darklight Dreamer and Brother Atlas for breakfast, hang out with my brothers, and we're going to meet up for breakfast bright and early at like 8 in the morning. And so that way we can have some breakfast, have some coffee together. You know I don't function unless I got my coffee in me. And then we're going to get to the card shop right when it opens. It's actually more than a card shop. It's a friendly local gaming store. So in the front half of the shop, there's card games and stuff in there. But then there's also, like in the back, there's tables set up for people doing Warhammer. And there's been several games there last couple times. It's been Warhammer. We've seen of several kinds of Warhammer. We've seen 40K. We've seen some Old World. And Marvel Crisis Protocol is what we saw there last time. And I want to say there was another game there, but I'm just not thinking of it offhand. I'm pretty sure I follow him, but if I don't, I will rectify that immediately. Thank you so much. Yeah, the episode that I am in is called Digital versus Physical Media. So, yeah, so anyways, we're going to hit up the game store in the morning. And of course, we always, pick something to buy out there, pay where you play, right? And then after we do that, we're going to be gaming until Darklight's got to be at work by like, I think 1:30. So we game for, the place opens up at 10. That's why we go and have breakfast early, because doors open at 10. We go in there, we buy a little something, and then we game from like, 10 to 1 something. We try not to cut it too close, getting to Razzie to work on time. Yes, Saturday is going to be amazing. And then, as soon as I drop off Razzie at 1:30, come back here for a little bit, and then friend of the show, Freak, will be coming by that afternoon, and we're going to play some Warhammer, a small game, 500 points, do us a little skirmish, and just, like old times, play a little Warhammer, and just enjoy each other's company. And then he said he's willing to, he'd like to have me teach him to play some Yu-Gi-Oh! And so I have been going through, and I have been squirreling away starter decks and structure decks for Yu-Gi-Oh! For years, and so I've been pulling them out. Cyber Dragons are my favorite archetype in the entire game, so I have one that's like a Cyber Dark Dragon set. It's one of the newer sets with Yuya. I've got like 7 different starter decks here at the house. But yeah, Dark Legion, Dark Legion and Lair of Darkness. So that's 4 of them. And so, I have been squirreling these away for the hope that, somebody would want to play, and I'd have, these to break out and kind of. Plus, it's always nice when you get something new in the game to have a deck you can kind of reset to 0 from, This is called Power Code Link, and this one is called Realm of the Sea Emperor. And then the 7th one is the starter deck for Rainbow Dragon and the Crystal Beast from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Although I'm quite sure that Freak won't pick that one, because Freak is a pretty masculine individual, and I'm pretty sure he won't want a starter deck based around Rainbow Dragon. But yeah, so I've got a bunch of starter deck options, so it's pretty fun. I'm going to go play some pretty modern and pretty strong games of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the morning, and then I get to play a little 40K with Freak, and then I get to take out some starter decks and start fresh. And teaching Freak how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! In the evening. So I've got a nice, fun-filled day tomorrow. But it does mean I got to straighten up the apartment a little bit before he gets here. Maybe just a little bit. At least I got to change the cat box before I go to bed tonight. There we go. Physical versus episode 54. Physical versus digital. The great debate. Why am I making you all search that when I can just easily Pull that right up. I am so sorry. What kind of host am I? Oh, Soul Gaming. Oh, my old logo is even right there on the thumbnail. So yeah, I think tomorrow I'm going to be tired, but it's going to be a hell of a fun day. No, it's all good. No apologies necessary. I hadn't even gone live with any of my new stuff yet, so no worries whatsoever. In fact, I think I mentioned on your show, that my channel was just about to go through a big transformation. So, that was probably like the very last bit of frosted fist that I did was on your show. So it's all gravy, baby. I hadn't debuted the new logo, the new name, or any of that yet. Yeah, except in maybe my messenger group, where I did a little testing. Did you know there's a Final Fantasy trading card game? I have the FF7 and FF10 starter decks. Yes, I did. My wife and I each have a deck. I know hers is 10. I want to say I have the 7 one. I feel like that's correct. Also, that was one of the things I was going to talk about today in trading card news. So, of course, last week I was talking about the Final Fantasy collaboration with Magic the Gathering and how excited I was. I've been playing Magic the Gathering for, gosh, too many years for me to say out loud. But I've been playing Magic the Gathering since I was in middle school. And Final Fantasy, similarly, since I was a kid, has been pretty much my favorite JRPG series. And to have these things kind of come together is amazing for me. But just like I missed out on the Warhammer collaboration with Magic the Gathering because it was just too expensive for me to get into. The pre-sales came and went. Even though this doesn't come out till summer, the pre-sales for the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering crossover came and went, was sold out in minutes, and the scalpers ruined everything. Just like Warhammer, Magic the Gathering is the same. The scalpers ruined everything, and the scalpers are now selling the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering pre-orders for like 3 to 4 times what they're worth. It's pretty crazy. So, damn scalpers, we can't have anything nice. I would love to get my hands on the Imperium, so I could have like my Thunderwolf Cavalry in Magic the Gathering form. That would be amazing. I would love to get my hands on Final Fantasy VII. As far as the Magic the Gathering deck, that would be amazing. But I just don't think it's in the cards, and I don't think it's something I'm going to chase because of that kind of price point. Like I said, scalpers, man, they ruin stuff. I'm thinking of doing an All Powers Chaos Marines army divided into 5 detachments, 4 themed around the 4 gods, plus 5th as undivided, but instead of Black Legion or mixed warbands, I'm going to do... And then a dramatic pause. Yes, I need to do a video on another deck. Oh, Charles, I would love to see that. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed the little deck review of your last deck, and I'm looking forward to seeing another. I really wanted to do a couple of videos this week for Yu-Gi-Oh! Myself, but like I figure since I'm just now kind of, well, aside from me discussing it in these live chats, just now kind of introducing Yu-Gi-Oh! Onto my channel, like I want to start off with a video of why Yu-Gi-Oh! And what I enjoy about Yu-Gi-Oh! And then of course, then I'll probably do like, my my favorite deck, which will probably be my Cyber Dragons. What if the Luna Wolves, Sons of Horus, never became the Black Legion? Oh, okay. So you're going to do them in the white and black of the Luna Wolves. You're going to do them in the green armor of the Sons of Horus. I am interested, my friend. I am interested. Ah, the green. Very cool. A lot of people make that color scheme look great, and I'm sure you will definitely be one of them. So, some of you may have noticed, though, we have corrected this week, because last week my transition into the new channel wasn't quite all together, but we've got the new intro. I've changed my Nightbot commands. Up the other side of the screen, I've changed my Nightbot commands to all be say Wolfbrother stuff. So those are looking fixed. Now my link still says Frost and Fist because you can't change the web address, but if you click on the link, it takes you to Friends of the Wolfbrother with the new logo and everything. So I'm pretty sure I've changed my Discord over last weekend. I'm pretty sure I have most of my stuff rebranded into Wolfbrother Hobbies. So if you guys notice anything that I need to update, let me know. You keep breaking it too, and it looks great. Well, thank you. Get a whole channel dedicated to streaming Yu-Gi-Oh! All day and night. They also have Pokemon, Naruto, and One Piece. Very cool. Those Hasbro games like the Pokemon, Naruto, One Piece, those are getting really popular. I mean, Pokemon's always been popular, but the Naruto, One Piece, Hasbro games have been getting real popular lately. As a lifelong Gundam fan, I hear the One Piece cards are real nice. Like the artwork on them is really good, and that if you get the rares, the foil waifus look real nice. Razzie was going to hop on the pre-order and get us some of the Gundam starter decks, but immediately those also got rated by scalpers, and so we didn't get to get on the pre-orders for those. But definitely something we want to look into because, man, we have just been in love. Admittedly, we're not going to be the I watched it before I was cool guys. We didn't start with original Gundam. We came in during the Gundam Wing era, but we have loved it ever since. And so we would definitely like to get into Gundam later on. Pluto app is on every device too, TV, consoles, phones. I often fall asleep on the 90s Nickelodeon's channel. Very nice. I can do some videos of my collection in binders. Very nice. Very nice. I'm just, as long as I've been in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Hobby, I'm just now putting together a binder. I've just always had my cards in boxes, I've never actually just separated out. And I've even got a ghost hollow for like one of the majestic Red Dragon archfeeds. But yeah, so like I've got a couple of nice rares, but yeah, I just never thought to like sleeve them up before. Also, it's bothering me. I cannot find my original. I have an original Injection Fairy Lily somewhere, and I wanted to pull them out from my goat. My goat deck. The gents and I are working on a couple of goat decks. Greatest of all times. A lot of people consider the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Era the greatest of all time, and in that goat format is basically you play stuff from the original series all the way up to 2004. Boom, there's your cutoff point. And yeah, we just play a lot of the original stuff. You don't have to worry about any of that modernizing of stuff. Kind kind of like if you were in Warhammer, you went back and played an older edition, and you said, we're not going past this edition right here. Since I've got a couple of old school fans in the chat, let me know what edition you wouldn't go past if you could pick. But basically, that's what GOAT format does, is it says nothing beyond original Yu-Gi-Oh! 2004. And so a couple of us are myself, Darklight, and Atlas. We're going to go back. We're going to make some GOAT decks from the very beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm picking Buster Blader and the Dark Paladin. My brother Razzy's picking out Shinato, King of a Higher Plane. And I believe Atlas is taking a Warrior deck, which he's theming with the Obnoxious Celtic Guardian and Gaia the Fierce Knight. Which is also pretty much going to be an equipped deck, because he's taking these Warriors and, equipping them with, instead of, doing the whole tributing to get a more powerful monster, he's doing the whole taking these monsters and equipping them with equip spells to make them stronger. So we're got some original format decks, and I was looking for my Injection Fairy Lily. I had an original one from back in the day that I cannot seem to find. I'm gonna have to order a new one, I guess. But yeah, some of these really cool like original cards I had. It's kind of disappointing to not be able to find them anymore. But, these really old school cards, they were from a long time ago, so I guess it makes sense to, some of them have fallen through the cracks, as much as I hate to say. I'm so old school, I only remember big names like Dark Magician and Blue Eyes White Dragon. Jar of Greed and all that. Hey, my brand new deck is a Blue Eyes White Dragon deck. They just released a new structure deck for Blue Eyes White Dragon. And, yeah, I think it's going to be a fairly strong deck, even straight out of the starter decks. I mean, I took 3 of the starter decks to put all of the best cards from the 3 structure decks into one. You combine 3 at a time because, like, the most you can have of any one card in a deck is 3. And so, yeah, so I basically took 3 of these starter boxes, combined them into one deck, taking the best parts of each of them. I think that's going to be a pretty decent deck. Red Eyes Black Dragon was my first love as far as Yu-Gi-Oh! Goes. My first deck for the longest time was a Red Eyes Black Dragon deck with Polymerization, Summon Skull to get the Black Skull Dragon. That was my first deck for the longest time, was Red Eyes and the Black Skull Dragon. The long time. Years even. And that's why, if you look at tonight's thumbnail, I've got my first 3 eras of myself playing Duel Monsters. And it was in the original series, I played Red Eyes. It was in the GX series, I played Cyber Dragons. And Cyber Dragons is still my favorite archetype to this day. And then in the Synchro era, I played Black Rose Dragon. There's a TCG minigame on Final Fantasy Rebirth called Queen's Blood. I think you would love. Best part of the game, to be honest. Ooh, I'm looking forward to checking that out. Very, very cool. Also, old school names you remember, Dark Magician, of course, since I'm playing a Buster Blader Dark Paladin deck. Of course, the other half of Dark Paladin is Dark Magician, so I've got 2 of those Dark Magicians in that deck as well, so that'll be cool. So I am really excited. Got to finish Remake and ideally Crisis Core first. Oh yes, I have a lot of Final Fantasy go before I can jump in on Rebirth. Heck, at this point though, I'm so behind. It's been so long since I played any of Remake. I probably should restart Remake over, which is probably one of the reasons why I've been putting it off, because like I know I've got to restart. Buying video games to play card games works works for me. Yes, feed all the hobbies at once. Being the hobby butterflies that we are. I do have, again, I haven't done any painting this week. I know, like a big well, I guess I chipped away a little at this Terminator that was sitting on my desk during a couple of meetings, but I haven't like actually gone out of my way for any paint sessions. Like I said, I would just have to be sitting in a meeting, kind of chipped away at this Terminator Sergeant. And I know, like, the big flat blue blade looks like, very plain, but like that's just the base before I airbrush on the power effects and stuff like that. And I kind of added, the red details to his brethren. It's not going to show it right now, I don't think. But what I did, even though it's not going to show you the detail, what I did was I started with the darker red from Pro Acryl, gave it a red wash, and then highlighted it up with the burnt red and bold red from Pro Acryl. So yeah, I did basically a couple of the red details on the Terminators. That was really the only painting I did. Now, if you'll remember from last week, though, I printed out this Eben Keshig for Eben Keshig number 6, and he came out kind of squat and rinky-dink, and I said I went back and played with his settings to make him bigger and chunkier, and I didn't like the printed weapon that came with him. Again, it feels a little bit rinky-dink. So yeah, I printed them at 120%, maybe 125, I can't remember. And found some big, massive swords. And this is going to be my squad leader for the Ebon Circle Companions. Now, compared to his little brother here, yeah, he looks massive. He's too big. But like when you compare him to the modern GW-sized Terminators, he's a little bit big, but he's not that far off, so I think he'll be okay as the squad leader. I think 120% might have been just a little bit more than I needed, but it'll be okay. When I stand him up, on the desktop, he's standing as tall as the modern GW Terminator, but with the base. So he's actually like that little lip of the base taller. But I think he's cool. And like I said, I really like these Chinese-style broadswords he's got here. They're big cleavers. So he's his own tactical rock. Yeah. He's a big beefy boy. So printing is really the only hobby I got in, like, as far as modeling goes this week. No real painting, aside from that little bit I chipped in during a couple of meetings, but got some printing in. And I can say he will be primed by this time next week. I don't know if I'll do anything beyond that, but he'll be primed. And I've had these Assault Intercessors that I've been needing to prime for my White Scars for a while, but I have been out of Gray Seer, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, my hobby money's gone to Yu-Gi-Oh! Lately, so that can of paint is going to have to wait a little while. And while I normally do a lot of my airbrushing, my priming by airbrush, with my White Scars, I want specifically White Seer, because that's the off-white that I'm comfortable working with for my White Scars. I just use black with the Terminators because of reading about the Eben Keshig Terminators in their 30k lore. And I've kind of done that with several of their things. I've made the Tartaros Terminators I did were black for the same reason. These Terminators as well, and of course I'm going to be doing the Inner Circle Companions because they're also kind of in Terminator armor. because I'm using the Eben Keshik Terminator kit from Forge World aside from this guy. So they're going to be in black as well. So because of the lore for Eben Keshig, those guys are all going to be black armored. But yeah, the rest of my white scars are done in gray seer white. You should invest in a 3D printer, then print out some custom figures and paint them and sell them on Etsy. Well, actually, that's how I got this guy right here. I do own a 3D printer. It's this boy right back here. And yeah, it's definitely something I thought of before, especially when I go to like anime conventions and stuff like that. Some people will print up the figurines, anime figurines and stuff like that, and paint them, sell them at the anime conventions and stuff like that. I always thought that kind of stuff was neat, but I always find that like part of me wants to do something like that, but then I get burnt out painting and hobbying for basically other people. So it's like the thought starts there, but then it's just my work ethic doesn't stay there. I'm thinking of the deep sea and deep sea green and blue white by Pro Acryl Mix 7030 for my Chaos project. Sounds good. Oh, I mean, there's literally a VR game in Tabletop Simulator where you can play tabletop games like Warhammer. Oh yeah, especially during COVID and stuff like that, tabletop simulators where a lot of hobbyists got their games in. And some people still do it now for like, when they want to test out lists and stuff like that they have, or with the internet and stuff like that when they want to play with friends across the pond or something like that, or people in, far away location. So yeah, tabletop simulator is definitely a well-used tool in the hobby community. But yeah, aside from like the yellow glowing eyes and maybe some basing on this guy, I think Terminator #1 is pretty much almost done. So, if I keep chipping away little bits during meetings, by the end of the month, I'll have a model or two painted up. So here we go. I've got Eben Keshik guys going to be primed by next week. And I guess until I get my can of Gray Seer, I should probably just shelve these Assault Intercessor guys. I saw where Mini Warzone Pete on his channel did an update, and he actually found himself being more productive by clearing away a lot of his the projects he wasn't working on his desk anymore. And I think I feel that. I feel like I'm getting to a point of clutter, and the fact that I've stepped away from how much I used to paint versus how much I'm painting now might actually benefit me to start clearing away. Used to like benefit me to leave a lot of these half-done projects on my desk because being a hobby butterfly, I would chip away at a little of everything. But now that I'm not painting nearly as much as I was, I think it might behoove me to start cleaning up some of that stuff like Pete and just, work on, have a couple of things at a time on there. Maybe one project or two at a time. Just start clearing out some of this clutter. So my desktop is usually covered in hobby clutter and paints and stuff like that. And then I've got like this back shelf over here that is just off camera. That's usually full of hobby clutter. And I think it's time for me to just start, packing some of it away and just leaving some more clean space out. Like I said, I'm still doing the hobby. I'm still enjoying it. Heck, I'm playing the game tomorrow. But yeah, it's just not as intense anymore. Speaking of taking some turns in the hobby, I saw my brother who took my dice miniature war game. If you haven't seen his newest video out, Brother Steve is planning on a last huzzah for his Black Templars, but has been invited, I think tonight, yeah, Friday night, to go play a game of Old World, which is going to be cool. I'm looking forward to seeing him talk about that. He just wants more card room. Honestly, yeah, cards have been taking over the living room lately. I just ordered just a brand new cardboard box of places to store extra cards and stuff, and um, stuff like that. So I do, trading out space one addiction for the other. I do have an addictive personality. It's a problem. It's a problem in these streets. So yeah, just like I haven't bought any more primer because my hobby money's just been diverted to another hobby. You're right. It's just like trading out space too. So you told me about your upcoming plan for your chaos, Brother Thomas. But what you working on now? What kind of hobby stuff have you had on your desk lately? And anybody else here? Like Oversoul, what game are you currently working on that might interest some of these fine folks there? Anyone else doing any kind of hobby goodness? Let me know. I this week have working on Eldar right now. Nice. I've had my new Blue Eyes deck. Anytime you get a new deck out, definitely takes a lot of testing and feeling the flow because you got to get used to the rhythm of your combos and stuff like that. And so I've been doing a lot of just test hands with my Blue Eyes deck, polling, and I've been watching a lot of strategy videos. So last week, or maybe earlier this week, either last week or earlier this week, I was doing draw hands and kind of watching the strategy videos at the same time and kind of going through, with the strategy videos. Okay, if I draw this card, I need to play this card, which will lead me to this card and this card and this card, and kind of walk me through the combos, right? And now, the last few days, since I haven't had my voice, just playing with myself basically, I've just been practicing drawing the hands. If I start with this card, okay, this is what I need to play. This card and this card and this card, and kind of walking myself through the combos, and which feels good, really good, because I haven't needed to follow along the strategy videos to walk myself through the combos. So I'm just feeling the flow, getting used to the combos. So hopefully it won't just they always say you have everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth, right? So hopefully I don't get there and freeze up tomorrow, because I know Atlas at least wants to. I would love to play my Cyber Dragons as well, but Atlas I know wants to see what the new Blue Eyes can do, so he wants to play against Blue Eyes, and I hope that just like all the practicing of the combos and stuff like that doesn't just leave my head as soon as I'm sitting across from somebody else, interacting with somebody else. Because like when you're doing test hands, nobody's giving you any resistance. Nobody's interrupting you and stuff like that. And sometimes you're forgetting what you're searching for and all that good stuff. So hopefully, like once I'm sitting across from somebody else, I'll still be able to do the combos and stuff. I tend to jump around between different interests that I hyper focus on. Right now, I'm back on a Star Wars kick and found a great YouTube channel called Star Wars Explained I've been watching a lot. Nice. Right now, I'm doing a Let's Play of Vertigo, a Telltale style gameplay based on the Alfred Hitchcock story of the same name. Interesting. I don't think I've seen Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. That's pretty cool, though. But yes, I am looking forward to tomorrow very much. I've also, the guys and I have talked about our decks, and we've come up with like a few different power levels that we've kind of decided. And when I say power levels, it's kind of like our intent when we're playing each other in the group. For instance, we've got our there's the the goat format of when we're just playing original Yu-Gi-Oh, right? And then we've decided to use kind of Norse mythology to tier the others. There's going to be our Midgard or middle tier decks that are kind of like they're still from the age of a back and forth game of Yu-Gi-Oh, and so the slower pace, and a lot of this is based around Edison era or Edison power level. So it may not be necessarily Edison era, but it's that same kind of strength, that middle range of a back and forth game. And then anything current is kind of in the new Yu-Gi-Oh format. Lots of searches, hand traps, lots of, like turn one, turn two kind of decides the games in the current meta. And then of course that's our Asgardian, and then um, and then there's eventually, if any of us ever make like the upper tier very meta decks, usually they're very expensive decks, but if any of us ever make any of the top tier like tournament, these are the kinds of decks the uh, tournament winners tend to take. In the current meta, usually it's decks like Primite, Snake Eyes, Ryzeal. Um, those are all decks that might, take the that top slot, which we would call Valhalla. Crazy how we're all changing our channels as time goes on. You just changed yours, and I'm in the process of going from Let's Plays to media literacy stuff, which is very cool. After the Danganronpa series is done, I'm going to make the final reactions highlights, a big 3-hour special that will be the finale of the Let's Plays in general. Then I will rebrand. Very cool. Working on Wraiths, Warp Spiders, Guardians, Swooping Hawks, plus Diablo 4. Nice. Level 60 Bloodwave Necromancer with now 223 Paragon. Very cool. For your rebranding, you're thinking Oversoul's Media Emporium. Very cool. Kind of does have that, very distinguished media literacy vibe. Gamers with Coffee, Greg and Ashley. Good to see you, fam. I'm happy to see you guys. Sorry we are late. No big deal. No big deal. I'm just sitting here running my mouth. Talking about all kinds of stuff. We talked about video games. We talked about Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic the Gathering. We talked about some miniatures a miniature I printed. And finally found my helmet STL for my Warhammer figures. So I got a bunch of those printed out. For some reason, man, printing helmets, like, I don't know if it's what it is, but like, I always have to clean my tank after printing the helmets because there's always a couple of them that stick to the vat, and then you got to do a tank cleaning after that. But I mean, everybody needs helmets, so So yeah, I've just kind of been rambling. I have mentioned that I'm still getting over a cold right now. I was without my voice for 3 days, which is a long time for your long-winded wolf brother to not be running his mouth. Um, and so I have been getting a little bit tired more easily tonight. I'll probably make it a short show tonight. If I make it to 10 o'clock, that'll be pushing it for me, but we'll see. Just having a nice cup of coffee and chatting with everyone. And honestly, like, I had a couple of topics to pull up. So he went to see Chopper. um, yeah, I had a couple of news topics from, like, tabletop news and a couple of card gaming news tonight, but I didn't even pull up any of the articles because I was just like, man, I just need a chill night. So I apologize if my talking and rambling is all over the place tonight, even a little more so than usual. But it's just a chill off night for me. Tony Chopper. Hoping once I'm done with the Let's Plays, it'll be easier for people like you to go back and watch things you wanted to without the worries of staying caught up. Oh, One Piece reference. Okay. I have only seen bits and pieces of One Piece. I need to actually go back and actually watch it. By my count, you started but didn't finish Bendy, Bramble, Night Springs, Ultra Despair Girls. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I need to go back and start finishing stuff. You know, hey, friendly neighborhood inquisitor. It goes well, my friend. It goes well. Good to see you, my friend. Oh, pardon the big yawn. I was just telling the guys that I've been out with a cold most of the week, and so I had all kinds of content planned for this week. You know, for instance, introducing card games onto the channel, and maybe I want to do since I haven't formally talked about cards on the channel before, other than my live streams. Why, introducing card games to this channel, and why Yu-Gi-Oh is my favorite. I've got a video on that coming up, but I didn't have a voice for 3 days, so that kind of put a kink in my recording plans. And then the first deck I want to show off on the channel is my Cyber Dragons, because Cyber Dragons are my favorite deck. I don't know if anybody names their decks either, but my brother Razzie and I like to do very kind of artistic names for our deck, or dramatic names more like. So like his Blackwing deck, he calls it. Well, his first iteration of it is Black Lightning. And now that he's going to be doing more than Black Wings, his more competitive build is Black Wings mixed with Raid Raptors, and he calls that evolution of the deck Dark Eternal. And my Cyber Dragons were originally called the Conduit, and now that I've leveled them up to the modern standard, I've called them, they're Cybernetic Dragons. I've called them the Matrix, or Matrix, after the Matrix of Leadership in Transformers. Also Enzo Matrix from Reboot. He was howling silently thanks to the airplanes. Yes. Speaking of Night Springs, I finally did that Quantum Break replay I've been promising, which I consider to be part of the Remedyverse. I don't care what Microsoft says. There's also a Lake House DLC for Alan Wake 2 that was really good. Sets the stage for Control 2. Very nice. See, I got my dinosaur deck. I call it dinosaurs, lols. Well, I'm aware that in that department, my brother and I just enjoy being overly dramatic. So it's all gravy. I think my Black Rose Dragon deck was called Nightshade. Dinosaur deck. Rar rar. Mm. Friendly neighborhood inquisitor, our friend Charles in the chat. Charles Latora on his channel, after we were all chatting about Yu-Gi-Oh last Friday. The next day he did just a quick little showing of one of his decks on his channel, which was pretty cool. That was fun to see. Name it Cold-Blooded Fury, Inquisitor. I like it. My X-Saber deck I named Blade Storm out of the ability in WoW that Warriors had, also known as Spinning and Winning. And my new deck, the Blue Eyes deck, I decided to name Luminaire as a reference to Chrono Trigger. In Chrono Trigger, Luminaire is considered the ultimate lightning ability, or the ultimate lightning skill. And of course, if you've ever watched any of the original Yu-Gi-Oh!, Blue Eyes White Dragon always attacks with White Lightning Burst. And so, I've taken that White Lightning and the ultimate lightning attack, and I call it Luminaire from Chrono Trigger. So, Diamond Eyes would work well too, Mythos. Very cool. Very cool. I was one of those hyper-competitive types, so most of my names were practical, like Noble Knight Control, Dark Claw Turbo, Jubel Synchro. Very cool. Hey, baby, want to see my deck? Nerdy pickup lines. Okay, funny story about that. So, by that very same line of hyper mature, comedy, my brothers and I would always say, when we'd get together for a hangout, we'd ask each other, "Hey, man, you gonna bring your deck?" And he said, we'd all be joking like, "My what? You want me to bring my what?" And so we would be, like, "I meant your ECK, not your ICK." And eventually that just turned into a thing where even now, here we are, like, 15 years later, we're like, if we're going to be playing cards at each other's house, we're like, "Hey, man, you going to bring over your ECK?" Just so, just so that way, there's no mishearing. And it's just kind of our inside thing now. A U-Bell Synchro. Man, I am surprised this many years after GX, U-Bell's still getting some traction in the meta. That's kind of cool. Craigslist ad for 4 guys playing with their decks. I see. Oh man, I'm so hyped. So Inquisitor, in the morning, I have a day full of Warhammer and Yu-Gi-Oh tomorrow. In the morning, I'm getting up at 7 a.m. to pick up my brother at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. We're going to be heading out to breakfast. Myself, Razzie, and Atlas. We're going to get some breakfast, get some coffee in us. We'll go to Black Bear Diner where they have, unlimited coffee. And we'll just sit there for 2 hours, have some coffee. So that way we can be at the doors of our friendly local gaming shop at 10 a.m. where they open. We'll buy something just to support where we play. And we'll sit there. We're going to game for about 3.5 hours. And after that, I got to take my brother to work. I'll come back home. In the evening, Freak will come over. We're playing 500 points of Orks versus Imperial Fist, so we're getting some Warhammer in. Just a quick little 500-point skirmish game. I say quick, although it's been a few months for me, and it's been a little more than a year for Freak, so this quick 500-point game will probably take a little bit longer, but it's all good. And then afterwards, I'm going to teach him how to play some Yu-Gi-Oh! And I've whipped out about 7 of my some starter decks that I've been picking up throughout the years. And yeah, we'll start fresh from the beginning, brand new packs, and we'll learn to play some Yu-Gi-Oh! Together. See, back when I made U-Bell Synchro, it was not competitively viable at all. Well, U-Bell's got some support over the years, that's for sure. Greg wants to know if you play with your deck by yourself. I have been playing with my deck by myself all week. Just that way when I see the guys tomorrow, I'll be used to the feel of my deck, and I'll understand how my deck works. ECK. I hope you never hear I forgot my ECK, but I got my Hey man, I forgot my ECK, but I got my ICK. Yes, he does. He admitted on stream earlier. Exactly. Man, you don't want to just show up to use your ECK and not know what you're doing, right? Got to get in there and figure that stuff out yourself. No wonder you look tired. Ooh, man. You whipped out your ECKs or the stream wouldn't be going because police would be called. I had to go into my basement, aka under my game table, to dig out my oldest cards. Why the hell did I bury them there? Oh, it seemed like a good idea at the time, I'm sure. Back in my day, playing with your own deck was called solitaire. Oh, man. What was he doing? He was playing solitaire. Yes. Yeah, I had to play some with my own deck because I wanted to make sure that when I got to the game shop tomorrow that I wouldn't just forget the combos I was supposed to be doing. That would be silly. I thought Solitaire was an Eldar. Oh yeah, isn't that one of the Harlequins people? It's weird to see what decks are strong now. Mermail versus Fire Kings in a tournament. What year is it? Oh yeah, I forgot Mermaids and Solitaires were in a very recent tournament. Isn't that crazy? Oh man. It's funny because like up until this past weekend it has all been Snake Eyes, Ryzeal, Snake Eyes, Ryzeal, some Primite, and now all of a sudden just Mermail and Fire Kings out of nowhere. That just wow. And then Yassine, one of the more competitive Yugi tubers, finished eighth place international in Sydney, Australia, with Crystron. So he was like, I think he was the only. I think he said he had the only Canadian flag there, and he was like the only one playing Crystron, so he was there as an odd duck, and he came out 8th place, which is cool. Holy 2013 Batman. No, I think it's cool though. That is cool that just like some of the older formats can still come back and do it. Fire Kings. So Fire Kings was the structure deck that came out before this most recent Blue Eyes one, and it was just like this Blue Eyes one, considered very strong, very good. You could put 3 together and still go to a tournament and win at locals. Do I like Skyrim or Bethesda style RPGs in general? Absolutely. I have loved them. I've loved Skyrim. I loved which one came before that? Oblivion. I love both of those games a lot. In fact, I've been having kind of an inkling to play some more Skyrim lately in general. Hey, Mom, I got a tournament this weekend. Can I take your mermaids? We had a friend named Julie a while back, before she moved to New York, who was starting a Mermail deck. And man, if she could see how far they've come now. Nothing will ever top the Monarch structure deck, though. Someone literally showed up to an event, bought 3 copies, and won it from the deck he built it from it. Very similarly, with the Blue Eyes deck. I mean, part of this is just who he is. You know, the Sam from Team Samurai X did the same thing with the most recent Blue Eyes deck. Showed up, won locals undefeated with, basically a 3 starter deck Blue Eyes. But needed to play Avowed. It's free on Game Pass. I wouldn't recommend paying full price, but it's solid RPG and perfect Game Pass genre. Very nice. Skyrim meets Dragon Age. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on when it goes on sale for sure. It's by Obsidian, the guy who made Outer Worlds and Fallout New Vegas. Oh yeah, I remember you talking about it a little bit on our podcast. Definitely got to check it out. For those that weren't around earlier in the stream, Oversoul was generous and had me on his podcast earlier, which came out, I think, towards the end of last week. And it is basically his podcast, The Overcast, and no PS5 version, Xbox PC exclusive. So I'll keep an eye on it for Steam maybe. And yeah, we got to talk about, a little bit of our life updates and whatnot, media recommendations, and then of course the topic of that week was physical versus digital media. So definitely give it a listen to. Your Wolf Brother is there, his guest of the week. And yeah, he does a great podcast, great show. Oh, this wasn't a locals, it was a full YCS. Wow, that's cool. Monarch structure deck was really strong. That's one thing I've really been liking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Lately is like, starter decks in just about any game is kind of a like, it's fun for the beginning to whet your appetite, but like you can't really take it to even compete against your friends really once you get outside of starter deck versus starter deck. But the last several Yu-Gi-Oh! Starter decks, Fire Kings, Blue Eyes, Monarchs, the Albaz ones, all strong enough that you could basically put 3 together and have a very, tough contending deck. You can definitely play at locals, no problem. And that, I think, is really cool. And that's not really something I really have seen in other card games. Something where it's like, you can, for the price of just a couple of starters, like, get seriously into the game. Albaz Giants? Sorry, another One Piece reference. Ever since the original Dark World structure decks have become actually packed with good shit. Yeah. A lot of them come with some really solid staples these days, too. And, cohesive strategies in them and stuff. It's really cool. Definitely not like my first structure deck was Starter Deck Joey. Which I freaking loved because it had my red eyes. I specifically, because there was Yugi and Kaiba that came out first, and then Pegasus and Joey, and my brother Razzie got Blue Eyes, with Starter Deck Kaiba. And I specifically waited. I passed on Starter Deck Yugi and waited until the next wave came out so I could pick up Starter Deck Joey just so I could get red eyes. Which, I mean, I feel a little bit like a jerk because that basically means I made my brother wait 3 months or so, whatever, after he got his deck before we could start playing together. But I was just dead set on having red eyes to start with. 2 fun facts about Avowed. 1, it's in the Pillars of Eternity universe. I'm not sure what that means. 2, your first companion Kai is voiced by the same guy who voices Garrus in Mass Effect. Nice. Well, definitely, it'll be good to have a companion bro there. He can calibrate my systems, if you know what I mean. Pillars of Eternity is a CRPG series on PC. Very old school, like Diablo-style gameplay. Okay. Mythos is out of coffee. Yep, I literally just took like the last sip at the bottom of the cup there. Shame. Which my cup was fuller, and then I accidentally filled it too much, and then, I was making mushroom coffee, so it was, I had the little mixer thing, and that just spilled it everywhere. So I wasted coffee. That could be in the coffee right now. Avowed shares lore with that series, but is also standalone. Okay. Well, yeah, Diablo gameplay is very cool. And if it shares lore with that series, maybe I'll learn a little something about that universe. Maybe I'll want to check them out. Mr. Fish, happy freaking Friday. The alerts fail me. Happy freaking Friday and wah. Mr. Fish, good to see you. So I'm taking a 500-point skirmish list against Freak and his Imperial Fist tomorrow. And I want it to be I don't want it to be a tough list because, Freak has had a little bit more than a year off from Warhammer, and so I want to ease him back into it. And you tell me about what you think about this list for, trying to get somebody back into the game. Or let's see, Orks' Rekkas. We made this on stream last week. But basically, I'm taking a Beast Boss. My Beast Boss Rex at 95 points with 20 Beast Naga boys. To hold my back objective, I've got 11 Gretchens. I'm taking 3 Killicans and 1 mech gun. And that is it. A mech gun, 3 Killicans, which I don't think I've actually used my Killican since I painted them up, so that'll be cool. And just 1 big blob of Snaggle Boys and their Beast Boss. What you think? I'm trying to take a somewhat squishy list for to welcome somebody back into the game. Mr. Fish, there's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetype just for you, by the way. Ooh. It's got cans, so I love it. Good. Kill team, smaller 40k, but fun. Drop the mech gun to max out Grots. Alright. Lots and lots of bodies. I got you. Oh yeah, I think I sent Fish a meme of that from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetype. One day. Hey, Freak the Gamer. Good to see you, brother. I was just telling them about our 500-point game tomorrow. And how I want to throw a bunch of orcs and goblins at you. I'm good, brother. How you doing? Rewind it, Freak. He said the list. You can metagame him. I'll tell him right now. So, Freak, what I'm thinking about for tomorrow is I'm going to take the beautiful War Boss Rex you painted up for me. Although he's going to have an escort of 20 Snagga boys walking up the field with. And he's going to have 3 Killicans, those goblins in, mini mechs that I painted up last year. And I don't think I ever actually got them onto the table. Or actually, I painted them 2 years ago. And I'm going to have a bunch of goblins. They may or may not have a big gun with them. That's it. So lots of orcs and goblins for you to kill tomorrow. And I will show it off people on stream for people on stream that I've got a bunch of starter decks for you to pick from tomorrow. I know I already sent you like a text of these, but one's called Saber Force. This is the Cyber Dark Dragon starter deck. And then there's Dark Legion and Lair of Darkness. Or if you prefer like an Undersea Leviathan theme, there's a Realm of the Sea Emperor. And then there's this one here called Power Code Link. And then there's a 7th structure deck called the Rainbow Dragon and the Crystal Beast. But I told him that you're kind of a tough guy. I doubt you'll pick the one called Rainbow Dragon. Checks paint log. Checks paint log. That was 2021, so 4 years ago. Actually, maybe you might be right. Let me check the log now that you got me thinking about it. Let me check the records. Since I do document that kind of thing. Oh, here's the paint journal. Let's see. 3 Grot Killicans. 2023. Yes, that was 2 years ago. These deck names sound like One Piece story arcs. He's going to get you hooked on Cold Money's cardboard crack. Prismatic Scale Butt Whooper Rainbow Dragons. Rainbow Dragon is for sure. I think it's got some solid staples in it. Like it comes with Ash Blossom and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think Rainbow Dragons is very tough archetype, especially since as Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor has informed us before that the Crystal Beast archetype was a struggling archetype, but very cool. And I mean, who didn't love seeing Jesse play the Crystal Beasts in GX if you watched that era? Hey, Brother Rob, the Miniatures Paintbrush, the TMP, who posted a new video about his Age of Sigmar backlog earlier today. Looking forward to checking that out. So I'd highly recommend giving Brother Rob a view over and check out his brand new video. Hello, Sky. How are you doing this evening? welcome. Thanks for joining tonight. Crystal Beasts are actually my favorite archetype. They were completely useless on the competitive level back then. I don't know how much that's changed. Well, unfortunately, I've been watching strategy videos for a few months now, and I haven't heard their name uttered one time. Unfortunately. It seemed like they have been a struggling archetype. So what game are you going to play? Well, tomorrow we're going to be playing some Duel Monsters, some Yu-Gi-Oh, and we'll be playing some Warhammer 40k as well. And then we'll be finishing off with some more Yu-Gi-Oh. So it's going to be a full day tomorrow. What is the best way to start Magic the Gathering? I never got into it. So Magic the Gathering is... And I am realizing now, not all of the comments that are popping up on my right screen are popping up on my left screen. So I'm afraid I may have missed out on something earlier. Hello, chatters. What's made to start getting Magic the Gathering? So Magic the Gathering, I'm not even sure anymore because I got into this game, well, back in middle school. No need to say how long ago that was. And one of the things I was just talking about earlier is that one of the things that impresses me with how far Yu-Gi-Oh's come is that the starter decks and structure decks are actually so good these days that you can pick up a starter deck and play against another starter deck if your friend got one and learn to play that way. But even if you wanted to get to where you could just play friendly local pickup games at your local game shop, the starter decks these days are so good that you could basically pick up 3 of them, take the best parts of each and put them into one deck and have a very viable deck to be able to play in your friendly local game shop. I don't know if Magic the Gathering is that way anymore. I don't even know, to be honest with you, I don't even know if they do starter decks, because a lot of times that some people are still playing the 60 card decks, some people are playing Commander, which are 100 card decks with no duplicates in it, which is interesting to me. My brain doesn't even understand how to make that work into a cohesive strategy. But yeah, so I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what's the best way to get started in Magic Gathering right now. I recently got in a few new pieces and some sleeves, and I've actually sleeved up my Green Hydra deck. It's got some new sleeves on I put on this week. And I ordered a couple pieces to just update my Is It deck, red and blue spellcaster deck for Magic the Gathering recently. But as far as starting from nothing, I have no idea these days. I don't know. So many animes I want to try, like Black Clover and Solo Leveling. I'm still behind on My Hero. And I don't know if there's any actually My Hero that I'm not caught up on yet. Best way to start up on Magic Gathering: Step 1, don't. Step 2, what format do you want to play? Step 3, buy a pre-constructed deck for that format and improve upon it. Sounds like pretty good advice. Magic Gathering has pretty cards. I've seen the new starter decks. Okay, cool. Well, it looks like we got some good advice there in the chat. I think that's pretty good advice in just about any card game, is buying a pre-constructed deck and improving from there. Commander is the best format, so much fun. See, the thing that just blows my mind, because in deck building in any other format, any other game, it's always like, you know, you play multiples of a copy for consistency, which is how you build strategy. And having 100 cards with no duplicates, other than the lands, of course, just blows my mind, because it's just like, how do you get any kind of consistency or strategy from there. I just the thought of commanders like stresses me out. It's like, how do you make this work? Well, it's simple. So many cards do the exact same thing. Found my missing binders with Yu-Gi-Oh cards. There are all the ones from the very beginning, and I've got more or less put the room back together after dangling them out. Well, I'm glad you were able to retrieve the missing binders and cards. I'm sorry that we've had you uproot your dining room in the meantime. Commander does seem fun, although, like I said, it's just man, it's the I guess it's just harder to micromanage. Like if you want a specific strategy, like with my red deck, it's like I love common, some pretty like blanket damage from like gutter snipe or the static field, both of which deal damage to my opponents whenever I'm playing spells, And so just doing my own thing burns them in the meantime. Or Megrim, where, I'm just making all of us discard cards and burning them for damage along the way with Megrim. But they're like specific, very micromanaged kind of strategies. I needed the exercise. Well, that's a good way to look at it, my friend. Well, Commander's also four player. I have an Is It Spellslinger deck with Niv Mizzet as my commander. Nice! Ah, a fellow Is It fan, huh? I have an Is It shirt and everything. I love freaking Is It's. That's awesome. Yeah, I started with Izits with a Izit starter deck back somewhere back when. Hey, hello, Miss Finch. Good to see you. Heard you had your own show, and though I thought I'd sit and watch it for a little bit. Well, thank you so much. I hope you're doing better. I hope you're back home and resting up. I know you had a recent scare, and I'm glad that you're doing a little bit better. So thank you for joining. I'm glad to have you with us tonight. All spamming out a bunch of low-cost spells. Also building a Golgari Spider Tribal Commander led by Shalab Child. That's a lot of hard to pronounce stuff, but I'm going to copy and paste that so I can take a look to see what that is. And maybe chat can join me. Alright, if anyone has arachnophobia, I apologize in advance. Oh, it's a spider from Lord of the Rings. That's cool. There you go. It is impressive how I manage to break this every week, right, Hellchild? All right. He broke it again. I didn't break it. It was just temporarily off center a little bit. It's back. It's fine. All right, let's take a look at this card. Death Touch Ward. Other spiders you control have Death Touch and Ward too. Oh, kind of like the way slivers all buff each other. Whenever another creature deals damage this turn by a spider you control dies. Whenever another creature dealt damage this turn by a spider you controlled dies, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a food artifact with the ability pay 2 and tap, sacrifice this artifact. You gain 3 life and it loses all other card types. Ew. Legendary creature Spider Demon. So you can just keep converting people's cards into food. That's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting indeed. And if you have that as your commander, you can do that all game long, huh? I'd say take a shot every time he does it, but it evaporate in the glass. I don't break stuff all the time. But yeah, I kind of break it all the time. That's pretty nasty, my friend. Meet those new shirt idea. Freaking is it's in the supernatural vein of Bobby saying idiots. Freaking is it's. I got spells that spam a bunch of spider tokens that gain death touch. So they kill everything and then I make copies. Ooh. Lots of food, gaining lots of life, plus all your spider babies all have death touch. So you're basically just annihilating people's boards and gaining a bunch of life. That's pretty crazy. Especially if you slid like an Earthcraft into that deck. Then you just have all the babies making mana, so you can tap 2, to then tap the spider tokens, gain life. Oh man. Sounds like my Rats deck, just not a commander deck. It's hard to get going, but once it's going, it's a bitch to stop. That is definitely the kind of decks I enjoy playing. Just like, I like playing Worms and Hydras. And they're hard to get going because they're high cost. But yeah, once they get going, they can definitely get crazy. Mythos Dove has potential Bobby Singer energy, doesn't he? You freaking idiots. Bobby's my hero. Man, it was so weird. I was watching Young Sheldon and saw Bobby Singer's actor playing just a normal dude for like 2 minutes, and it was just so weird seeing him as not some, rough and ready kind of guy, just a normal guy. Bobby's my emotional support person. I think we all need a little bit of Bobby Singer in our lives. Fun fact, the actor's name is Bobby Singer. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Like, yeah. That's pretty cool. He's also in the show The Boys, which is a show made by the same guy who made Supernatural. Ah. Hence all of the hence all of the supernatural energy with the commercials going around of Dean telling Sam and well, I'm sorry, Jensen telling uh, gosh, what's Sam's actor's name? Um, yeah, but telling Sam's actor and Misha that they've got work to do on the boys. Oh, I freaking love Supernatural. Supernatural is awesome. Yeah, the final season of The Boys has Cass, Sam, and Dean. I've never actually watched The Boys, but seeing the Supernatural fam getting back into it, I've definitely got to watch it now. Jared, that's what it is. Jensen, Jared, and Misha. Just flipping through my turtle deck. Yes, turtle. I'm thinking, what the heck was I thinking? I've got 3 crabs, turtles, the blue cards, and 2 great Machu Garshet. This deck needs help. My brother and my wife and I were all having kind of similar experience going back through some of our old decks and being like, what was I thinking when I built this? Dean was already in a Soldier Boy, a Captain America parody. Very cool. Does that turtle deck have the famous UFO turtle? Still comes up today? Or catapult turtle? I had that 2 days ago. What the hell was I doing? Yeah, just looking through some of your old cards. Like, I had that not too long ago. I was playing against my brother with our Edison version of our decks. I was playing my X Sabers, and he was playing his Black Wings, and they basically were in the same state that we left them when we stopped playing the game, like 10 years ago. And I returned one of his synchro monsters to his extra deck with compulsory evacuation device. And then the next turn, I immediately drew a second compulsory evacuation device. And I was like, what was I thinking at the time? Why did I put 2 of these in the deck? But I think what it was is that I was playing against a lot of synchro decks that had like on destruction abilities. Like Light Sworn had a creature that if you destroyed one of them, it could destroy one of your things in turn. Scrap Dragon, if you destroyed, could just bring back more straps and they would just reform into Scrap Dragon. Stardust Dragon would just negate your destruction and negate and destroy. So I was playing against a lot of stuff that if you destroyed their stuff would just harm you. And so what I was thinking was, well, if I bounce a Synchro monster, it basically just unsummons them. And you don't get the bonuses for being quote-unquote destroyed. So I think that's just part of where the game was 10 years ago. But current me was looking back through those cards like, why do I have so many bounce cards? I start to fix a deck and get lost in the art. I understand that. Fair warning about The Boys is based on a comic series. It's very violent and political. It's basically a satirical take on what it would be like if superheroes really did exist. Yeah, I've definitely heard that. I had the fusion card Elder Entity Norden in my dinosaur deck, but I have no means to summon him. Ugh. Like, why did I have this again? It digs into how superheroes would be corporatized and monetized the way they are now, but they would be treated like property basically, and some of them would abuse their power. The main villain of the show, Homelander, is basically Superman. Oh yeah. I got 3 Naturia Landois cards in the side deck, but no tuners. Oh no. How do I get these synchros out? Oh man. What's funny is that, I'm sure when we made these decisions, we had a plan at the time. Looking back through our old decks, like, what was I thinking? We had a plan. I am for sure about that. I'm older and smarter now. Now I know to just write notes to myself and don't lose the notes. Hey, that's good thinking. I'm thinking I had instant fusion in the Dino deck, but it wasn't in the deck when I pulled it out. Okay, I've got a couple of decks like that that run instant fusion, and then they just have random 5-star um, fusion monsters to in their side decks. That way they can, pull them out for a synchro. What's thinking, Mythos? Is that like painting? Something like that. Something like that. Yeah, I have uh, I call it Eclipse. It's my Sun and Moon deck, and they're both synchros. But basically, you kind of cheat out a 5-star because, like, the Sun and the Moon Dragons both require a very specific tuner. So you have like Fire Ant Ascator, and then you need like it's a 3-star ant, but then you need a 5-star to fuse with it to get the Sun Dragon, and then you need Supe, a very specific 1-star tuner to go with a 5-star to get your Moon Dragon. And then once they're both out, kind of like the setting of the Sun and the Moon, as soon as one dies, it revives the other one, and once the Moon Dragon dies, it revives the Sun Dragon, and vice versa. It's a pretty cool deck once it gets going, but getting to that point where you synchro summon out both of them so that way they can keep resurrecting each other's. That's the part where it can be kind of take a little bit of work to build up. But that's where instant fusion helps kind of cheat those things out. It must be like painting because lately I'm not doing either. Oh man, I don't like thinking. It hurts. Hey man, I feel that. I feel that. So guys, I am so hyped for tomorrow. In the morning, like I said, we're going to be playing like 3.5 hours of Duel Monsters right off the jump after having some breakfast together. Black Bear Diner has some great endless coffee, and the little platters of. They have a great breakfast menu there. But sometimes, especially since like Razzie and I are doing the keto carnivore thing, sometimes we'll just get coffee and just a platter, a side of bacon, and just sit there and snack while we just chat. Have some have a good time hanging out in each other's company. And we're gonna get there. We're gonna play, and Razzie's got his brand new modernized Dark Eternal deck. His Black Wings brought out to their their full modern strength with the Raid Raptors, and basically all it's as competitive as he can get it right now. Raid Raptors, Black Wings. That's going to be fun to play against. Is just see where I stand up to his new level of competitive deck, which is cool. And then Atlas brought a new Six Samurai deck last time that was really laying down the butt whooping. And we went 1-1 last time, but that Six Samurai deck, once it gets going, man, it is strong. It even has an infinite combo in it. I don't think I talked about that last time. It has an infinite combo in it, and I'm really surprised that Konami has left an infinite combo in the game. But like basically, once he takes out I can't remember the name of the Z Samurai in the Six Samurai deck, but it's like one red one and one blue one. And once he gets them out, they can keep sacrificing themselves, and then he uses his Gateway of the Six to resummon them, and every time he summons one, he gets more tokens. And the tokens basically let him keep summoning more, so they can keep sacrificing themselves to summon them again, sacrificing themselves to summon them again, and basically he makes infinite tokens, which gives his Battle Shogun basically infinite attack power. So if it hits you one good time, this thing hits you one good time, you're done, son. And then he's just got the means to just continuously search every card in his deck that he wants. And it doesn't matter if he has to discard them afterwards, because like I said, the tokens he's all gathered onto his side of the field will let him resummon any of that from the graveyard for free, basically. And so he's got like a really cool infinite combo system with like a bunch of negates and lockdowns. And I had it to where it's like, okay, you can't activate any magic or traps, can't activate any monster abilities, and you can't even hand trap because he's got 3 negates in his graveyard that keep you from targeting his 6 samurai, which is pretty crazy lockdown. So anyways, that is just a really impressive board. And since it was a strong deck, and like I said, we went 1-1 last time, and I'm interested to play it against it tomorrow. And like I've got I'm comfortable with my Cyber Dragons. I feel like if a Cyber Dragon still give him a good punch, but he said he wants to play my new Blue Eyes White Dragon deck, so I don't even know what my deck can do against that. So we'll see. We shall see. I think Konami hasn't banned them because it's an infinite combo that doesn't give you enough competitively to be viable. I mean, that's true. It because the gateway of the 6 is only down to 1. It definitely has to. It takes some setup for them to get there. But it's just like it's in a weird spot because like it's not top of the meta. Like 6 Samurai are no longer top of the meta now that they've reduced gateway of the 6 to 1. But it's just like, so you're not playing them in top tier, you're playing them more mid tier, right? But anything infinite combo in mid tier just feels like, whoa, what the hell's going on? Not that I'm saying that it's overpowered or anything. Like I said, so far we're 1-1. My deck in particular happened to have some answers for that. And I could see where a couple of other decks will also have answers for it. And even just a well-placed Mystic Space Typhoon or something like that could have answers for it. So, like it's not invincible, it's not unbeatable or overpowered, but it just surprised me that, that there happened to be an infinite loop in the game. It's kind of like when I remember when Morphotronics got great support that made them crazy consistent, and then the whole sentiment was basically, cool, but you're still playing Morphotronics. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point. Like, certain archetypes will always be like the top of the meta, and it's just like, it's like if they're not in the top, the top spot, then nobody looks at them. I believe it's Morphotronic smartphone. That's cool. Invincible is another great superhero show, also very violent and based on the comics, but animated. Man, I really enjoyed Invincible Season 1. I need to watch Seasons 2 and 3, but I really enjoyed Invincible Season 1. It definitely was so good. So good. I like was one of those that once I started watching it, I just spammed the whole thing. That had the same effect on me as like when I watched Cyberpunk. Oh my gosh, what is the Cyberpunk anime? Mm, um, Edge Runners. Yeah, both of those. Just like, oh my gosh, they just once they got their hooks on me, I just couldn't stop watching them. If you like Invincible, you'll like The Boys. Very similar. Cool. I will definitely check it out. So I've got some very high stakes games in the mornings I want to play my Cyber Dragons. I know I'll definitely be playing the Blue Eyes because Atlas wants to play against them in specific. If Razzie lets me decide what to play against his new Black Wings, it'll probably be Cyber Dragons there. And then in the evening, 500 points, Orks versus Imperial Fists is going to be fun. And then we're going to do a basic beginners game of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the evening. So it's going to be a fun-filled day tomorrow. And I'm going to have so much coffee tomorrow. That reminds me, though. I'm going to hop off here in a few seconds and go change that cat box before I go to bed. Because, you know, got to have a clean cat box when company comes over. Well, guys, that pretty much brings us to 10 o'clock. And yeah, me too. Friendly neighborhood Quizzer, thank you so much for coming by. Like I said, I intended on checking out early, but here we are at 10 o'clock. Fist's going to make it little green puddles. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and check out as well. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys joining me for a chit chat tonight. If you guys like tonight's episode, please make sure that you grab up an axe and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop me some comments down below, especially if you have been watching either live from the archives. Feel free to be any part of tonight's ridiculous conversations. Not too long ago, I was going through a big plastic bin full of loose cards. I was part of pulling out stuff. And I at least came up with a spider deck. Any good? No idea. Hey, I'll be excited to see what it looks like, my friend. If you guys are not yet subscribed to this channel, or any of the channels listed below in the Friends of the Wolf Brother, please check out the link tree and feel free to give them a subscribe. Because we would love to have you here as part of the pack here on Wolfbrother Hobbies. Until next time, guys, stay frosty. Thank you, my brother.